Great. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to see you. I'm Pastor Adonia, giving your message today. My topic is consistency in all seasons, or if I'm thinking about our offering song, consistency in all weather. I realized, usually when I'm making my PowerPoint, I pull up a past PowerPoint that I've used and I just adjust things on it. And I realized I just gave a message a couple weeks ago and the title was something like Gratitude in Difficulties, which is very similar to consistency in all seasons. And then Mike just gave a message called Beauty in Hardships. And I feel like there's kind of a theme running through our messages. And I recognize that I talk about it a lot because it's something that I really think about a lot. If we're lucky, life is long. And in a long life, there are so many ups and downs, different seasons we go through and challenges we face. And one of the reasons I think about it, especially when I see people get lost or derailed by some of the difficulties they've faced. I thought about it a lot when I was like a teenager and a young adult, and I saw my friends struggling, or they leave the protective bubble of their home or school experience, and they're out in the world, and they kind of get lost. And I thought, well, that's kind of like a young person thing. But now I'm not that young anymore, and I see people my age, hit their midlife crisis and completely get derailed. And I think about this: how do you live a whole life that's consistent? Of course, there's changes. Of course, there's ups and downs. But how do we keep the heart of our life for God? How do we keep the direction of our life the same? I first started really examining this when I was in my 20s. I saw my friends struggling with challenges that really shook them. They weren't prepared for. And I began to ask myself, well, is there any difference between me and that person? Not much. Those things will definitely happen to me. At this point, many of them have already happened. You lose a job, you lose a loved one, you're over the hill. When your kids leave the nest, sometimes you just feel like you're a failure. You failed in something, or you go through a time of questioning in your faith. So these are many of the things that I've seen people stumble over. I worried about those things happening when I was younger, and now many of them have already happened. If they haven't happened to you yet, they probably will as well. But in my personal life, there's actually two big changes right now. I want to share those with you. First is to announce that we're going to be closing Heartland Academy in December. This is for financial reasons primarily. And in a way, it's sad because it's not what I envisioned when I opened the school. So if I just look at it from a purely objective perspective, I failed. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not the goal, and I didn't do it. So I feel like I could easily get caught up in a feeling of failure. But I'm very comforted by the messages of appreciation and gratitude, encouragement that I've gotten from my school families and from everybody who knows. And of course, when one door closes, another door opens. So it's a change. On the other hand, big change number 2, on Friday, we closed on a house together with Mike's parents. Yeah. It's a lovely house in Wheat Ridge, a nice neighborhood. It's actually only 5 minutes away from the church that we are hoping to eventually buy. So we're just kind of putting it out there to God and to the universe that it's going to happen. We will use our current parsonage to either expand YAMI or provide housing for young couples who want to come and contribute to our community. And we'll be moving in over Thanksgiving break. So once we're all settled in, we really are looking forward to having like a big party, and you're all invited to come and I'll feed you. And we've already planned ribs, guys. Like 20 racks of ribs. Come on over. You're welcome. So it's like ups and downs. Sometimes they happen at the same time. But these are just a couple of examples of the types of ups and downs that I'm in the middle of. I know that in our community and in your own lives, there's ups and downs that you're facing. And our wider community is facing the ups and downs and challenges of our founder and true mother still being detained in Korea. Apparently last week, true mother said, "It's all right. Heaven will now take the lead. The truth will surely be revealed. Though it may take time, the truth cannot remain hidden forever." So still, true mother is encouraging us. But I'm sure that it must get, even our true mother must get to her. She hasn't been able to go outside in a room. She doesn't know what time of day it is. And so we have our ups and downs, but what does it take to get you through them? I have a couple of quotes from a speech that our founder, true mother's husband, Reverend Moon, gave back in the 70s. This is from a speech called Challenge and Victory. If you haven't read it, it's such a wonderful speech. It's a quick read and easy to read, but it's just full of great advice on what kind of attitude to have during difficulties and throughout our life. So I'm going to share just a couple of quotes, but I encourage you to go read the whole thing. "We see 4 seasons coming one right after the other. If you were to insist that you would always live in summer, and if you never prepared for the winter, you would have a problem when winter arrived. In the winter, those who don't think of the coming spring and confine themselves in snug, warm rooms will be uncomfortable in the spring. Can you insist on wearing winter clothes when summer comes? No, you need to change your clothes to suit the seasons." Right now, fall is on display, isn't it? October is my very favorite month in Colorado. When we moved here, we arrived on October 1st. And I just remember I was like, I love Colorado. I'm so happy we're here. It's so beautiful. Guess what? November 1st in 2014, it went below 0. And we had like 8 inches of snow. And it was below freezing for 3 days straight. It was like winter came quickly. And yesterday, wasn't winter in the air yesterday? It got windy and chilly. And even though I love fall, I got this like, whoo, winter is coming. We know it's coming, right? Change is in the air, and we know that we tend to like certain things and want to stay there, but it's always changing. Here's another quote from Challenge and Victory. "In the world of change, how to digest what we encounter and make it something good is always the question. You do not know the future before you, so you need to learn how to go through the path of life in such a way that you will be able to think of every event positively so that you can continually grow." This speech actually reminds me of a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, and I was introduced to this quote through my school, and I've come back to it so many times whenever I feel like giving up, or if I don't know it's worth it, or I worry about what other people are thinking of me. Whenever I need to dig deep or dig in, this is the quote I go to, so I'm going to share it with you. You can look it up if you want to. Oh, it's so hard. I'll read it out loud. You can't read it. This is titled, "The Man in the Arena." It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So I love the speech, Challenge and Victory. And I love this quote. And I think if you have tasted this, it resonates with you, right? But something that I've realized is that these quotes are not, in them of themselves, are not enough to get you going or keep you going when you're stuck. I remember when I was on my missions program, and sometimes I'd be really struggling, and we were often reading these speeches, and I was like, I get this moment of inspiration and spark, but then when it was time to face my struggle, I'd be like, I can't do it. I just couldn't create that feeling for myself. And I realized it's because these quotes are an expression of a type of attitude. But you can't just adopt an attitude because you want to. The attitude is an expression of something deeper that's already inside you. This type of attitude that's expressed in Challenge and Victory and through the Man in the Arena can only come from a place of deep commitment and passion and understanding of who you are, your relationship to your Creator, and what you're on this earth to do. Once you have that, then the attitude comes, right? So when I think of people that I can think of many people, actually a lot of you are in this room who have overcome great adversity. If you were to tell your life story, there would be people like, how did you survive? Why are you still here? How is it possible? But I also know people who spiraled, and are really lost. So what will make the difference between falling apart and becoming stronger? When I was on my missions program, in my 20s, I saw many people I knew, both my age and older, who were shaken in their faith. Some wavering, some even just abandoning everything, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I remember talking with one of my mentors about it. And I remember asking, how do I know that won't be me? because I don't see a difference between that person and me. How do I know that in 6 months or in 10 years, how will I know that I'm not going to do the same thing? My mentor didn't give me an answer. Instead, and I love this, he asked me a question. A really good question. He asked, what would be that difference for you? What would have to change in your life right now so that this wouldn't be a concern for you? Like, what is the thing that would make the difference? And I sat with that for a minute, but it didn't take me long. I realized I already had the answer. It just kind of welled up to me. And the answer was, at least for me, if I really know God is my parent, not just theologically, not just because it sounds right, but if that relationship was really real to me, as real or more real than my relationship with my physical parents, this isn't even a question. Why would I worry about leaving my parents? So for me, my whole next year of my missions program, my sole goal was to develop my filial heart towards God, to understand God as my parent. So for me, that, knowing who God is, and then because of that, knowing who I am, and then figuring out what I'm on this earth to do, is what makes the difference for me. It makes the difference between falling apart and becoming stronger when challenges come. And it may not be exactly the same for you. I loved what Young Il said about how, as in many things with faith, there's broad strokes that we agree on, right? There's things that we can say, yes, God is our parent, or there's give and take relationships, or things like that. But for each one of us, our faith becomes uniquely personal. So for you, your question might be slightly different. What is your big question? And your answer might look a little bit different than mine. But you do have that answer. It's already there. But to keep from getting derailed, to keep from getting lost, each one of us will need to solidify our relationship with our parents and discover our calling. This is so important that this is part of our vision statement. And it's been a while since we've talked about our whole vision statement, but there's 2 points in it that I want to share. One is, we are every person growing to spiritual maturity through studying God's word, prayer, making devotions, small groups, and taking on a ministry to care for the needs of and give to others. And we are equipping every person for a significant ministry by helping them discover the gifts and talents that God gave them. And so for me, what this really comes down to is maturing ourselves by developing our relationship with God, and then finding, what did God put us here for? What is the calling on our heart? What unique gifts and talents did God give us specifically? We're each a unique embodiment of God. So we have something special we're here to do. Once you know who God is, who you are, and what you're put on this earth to do, everything else is just details. So I have one last quote to share. This is from Hebrews. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. So with that, please join me in prayer. Most beloved Heavenly Parents, good morning. Thank you for this beautiful fall morning and all of these precious brothers and sisters, your children, gathered here today. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here, to open up our hearts to you. I pray that through some aspect of this message or our time sharing with each other, that you are able to speak to us and to remind us of who you are, of who we are. And as Young Il mentioned, that we're not just here for ourselves, that we're here to contribute to others for something greater. You put us on this earth with unique talents and gifts to contribute something to this world. I pray that as we go through the challenges and the ups and downs of our life, that we can keep our eyes fixed on you, that we can not be swayed by the waves or the winds of a storm. We can always be returning to you, even if we have to take a break, even if we have to sit down for a little bit, even if we have to sit down and cry. As long as we come back to you, get back up, and go again. Thank you so much for your consistency with us. We're learning it from you because you never waver. You never give up on the goal. You never give up on us. And we appreciate your patience and your never-ending unconditional love for us. And I pray that we can begin to embody that to our families, to our community, and to this world. I offer this prayer in my name, Pastor Adonia, blessed and true family. Amen and Aju. Okay, thank you.